I would always avoid confusion, like, oh, I want to learn how to do this thing, but I don't know. That's such a learning curve. I don't know how to do that. Or I would go into the, negative talk part of like, oh, well, I can't do that. We know that's not true. Good morning. Welcome back to another episode of PhD Diaries, the series where I document the final stages of my grad school journey, the dissertation writing process. I'm Quin, I'm 27, I'm an applied mathematician, and I'm getting my PhD in systems modeling and analysis. So as an applied mathematician, I have a specific interest in pathology and medicine, and I use biology, computer science, mathematics, and optimization theory to understand and represent systems and then do analysis on said systems. And I do this by creating dynamical mathematical models. I can do this using ODEs, network, and statistical modeling and machine learning. I have used all of these tools in different projects throughout my grad school journey, but my dissertation project specifically is mostly ODE models, and it's about dynamic mathematical approaches to understanding pain and sickle cell disease. So since I have been writing my dissertation, I have had to do a lot of self-teaching. I am a mathematician, not a biologist, therefore I have to read a lot of papers and learn a lot about biology on my own, and I get guidance in regards to mathematics. So I've really built up some understanding of the research process, the steps, and just how to actually build new skills and how to find answers to all of our questions and how to use those answers to create solutions. And so I'm starting the How to Teach Yourself Anything series as part of my PhD Diaries, because the research process can literally be applied to building any new skill, including starting a YouTube channel. Speaking of YouTube channels, this one, my channel, is mostly about how I am staying authentic while I am elevating and transforming throughout life. I am becoming a scientist and a mathematical professional, a public speaker, and I want to stay the Mississippi Southern girl that I truly am while I accomplish many great things. So if you're all about productivity, life lessons, systems, and just fun, this is the place for you. Today I'm actually heading to a research meeting right now on campus. This is the first week back to work for the spring 2024 semester, and we're meeting in person. So I'm going to meet on campus with my advisor, my research team. We are currently finalizing manuscripts for submission and planning out projects for the semester and updating meeting times and just a lot of like admin and also co-working. And so I have to go meet my advisor to do that because we're making great progress. I will be sharing these research steps throughout multiple videos because I'm not going to finish my dissertation today or in one video. It'll be a while. So as I complete these research steps, there will be a video on each one. So let's go. I have to pack my bag, including my handy dandy laptop, which is still plugged up. Let's go.
I forgot to put my phone on airplane mode, so when it came down, so.
Start with 4 then? I wouldn't do 2. Lunchtime.
And especially like, but yeah, when it comes to doing like
Alright, y'all, just got back from lunch. We're actually co-working together in the big office, but I wanted to stop by my office. This is my, it's not my office, it's the PhD student office, one of many. But I have an assigned desk here that I literally never come to. We should change that more in the series because I get so much done when I actually leave my house. Anyway, I want to talk about the first step of the research process. So the first step of the research process is essentially where you state your goal, where you define what it is you want to know, what you want to build, what kind of skills you're trying to form. Like, that's where you set an aim. And so that means you have to figure out what is the question, what is the goal, what is the aim. And that for me often comes with a lot of confusion, and I'm in my 5th year and I really didn't feel the clarity I feel about understanding things until right now. And it's taken me 4 or 5 years to actually learn how to use confusion to my benefit. I would always avoid confusion, like, oh, I want to learn how to do this thing, but I don't know, that's such a learning curve, I don't know how to do that. Or I would go into the negative talk part of like, oh, well, I can't do that, and that would mean I would procrastinate on building this skill, or I would procrastinate reading on this, or I would look at any kind of feedback as criticism, like, what? Oh my gosh, you mean to say that I don't know this and I don't know that? No way. Like, just anytime something came up that wasn't clear to me, I would run from that and use it as a reason to feel like I wasn't worthy or not smart. But that's not true. When it comes to building a new skill, it's literally just the fact that you don't have any experience. That's literally it. You don't have any experience, so you're confused, and to clear up that confusion, you have to lean into it. You have to lean into the confusion for a better understanding in order to fill your knowledge gap. That's what that confusion is. That confusion exists because you are here and you want to be here, and there's a gap in your knowledge, in your skill set, in your something that you don't know how big that gap is, or maybe you do know how big it is, but either way, the confusion is the signal that these are the things you need to fulfill. So in order to lean into the confusion, there are a few things I recommend. First is brainstorming, just writing up on a sheet of paper, something blank, everything that comes to mind about this topic, skill, interest. You have to be willing to be taught. You have to be willing to learn. You have to remove ego from the experience and become a student and recognize the fact that there is more to learn. You simply don't know it all yet, and you never will, but you don't know enough at the very least. And so for me, I was able to actually get to this part of being able to be taught about a year and a half ago. I was very uncomfortable with like being taught, especially by like the wrong kind of people or bad teachers or whatever. But now that I'm at this stage where I'm writing my dissertation and I'm fully talking about and engaging with things that are passionate to me, like I'm done with my prereqs, I'm done with all of my mandatories, and everything in my life now is about my passions, my work passion, my creative passion, my health passion. Like all of my endeavors now come from a very clear place inside of me, and therefore I'm actually motivated to not be confused. Now I want to know about these things, and before I was like, oh. But now I need the answers. I need the skills. So here's some questions to ask yourself when building a new skill, trying to teach yourself something new. And I have these on my phone because I am a teacher and a student, and so there's always notes, okay? So the questions to ask yourself when building a new skill: what is the problem, question, or goal? Question number 2, what are the prerequisites for this goal, or what steps have to be taken before this goal is accomplished? There's clearly some steps to there. What are those? How big is my knowledge gap? What do I know already? What do I not know? And then the last question is update your goal. Now that you know what your knowledge gap is and where you are trying to go and what's needed for it, you can kind of adjust where you are on that timeline and then move forward. So once we answer these questions, we have general actions that we need to take. So we have to write down the destination now that we've updated our goals. So if the destination could be to cure cancer, the destination could be to become a multi-billion-dollar selling artist. Just pulled that out my ass. It could be to become a famous YouTuber. Like, what is the destination, right? And then in order to fill this knowledge gap that you recognize you have to research. Hence this research process series. So you want to research and read what the people that already do what you do, and the people that are already doing what you want to do. What are those people doing? What do those people know? What do those people advise? All right, and write all of that down, and then circle what things you already do from both columns. So the people that are where you are, what do you do? The people that are where you want to go, what do you do? And everything that's not circled is your knowledge gap. You know what I'm saying? What you don't know is now in a list of things to learn, things to improve upon. All right? So let's give some concrete examples, because that's the only way this works in my head, right? So first example is with content creation. So we have the destination, the research, the circle, knowledge gap, and the decision to learn, and the list of things to learn. So those are the 4. So with content creation, the destination for me, it might be 10K subs and high engagement. So that's where I want to be, right? And the research about how to get to where I want to be, I need to research I need to watch content about social media strategy. I need to watch content about Instagram and YouTube and engagement and all the things relevant. So I watch YouTubers like Katie Steckley and Aaron on Demand and other people in that area that are giving advice about how to achieve those goals. And then I also watch people in my niche, people who are doing what I'm doing, and seeing what they do. How do they do videos? How do they engage? How do they do whatever? So this is my research step, me researching tips to get there, me researching like the market of people who are where I am, like peer review, reviewing what's in the field. And now I have a list of all the things I can work on to get there and the things that successful people are doing. And now I need to circle what I do from those lists. So for example, I already use hooks in my videos. I already use hashtags in the description. I already work hard on my thumbnails, etc. So that's my like what I do know list. And then I have my what I don't know list. So from watching these videos and these vlogs, I see that I actually don't know much about SEO. I don't know much about getting engagement, even though I've slowly improved that. I don't know much about monetization. So now I have a list of things I don't know much about. and the things I kind of know about, and so I can improve the things I already know and I can build the things I don't know. So in order to actually learn those things, you have to make a plan. So in my decision to learn those 3 things, what I like to do is save some videos to my watch later playlist, and then on Saturday I set aside 1 to 2 hours to watch those and study social media content, vlogs. Like I'm taking time to learn these things, and I take notes. I have a content creators planner where you can take notes, script videos, plan all the things you need, and I have a planner for that. So while I'm watching these videos, I take notes on the notes page, and then I apply those notes to the next video I create, because I record every week. So that's how I apply the research process, that leaning into the confusion, instead of being like, oh, I don't know how to make good vlogs and I don't know how to do that, I'm not gonna be a vlogger, I give up. Instead of doing that, I keep making vlogs, I keep watching vlogs, I keep watching content about how to make vlogs, and then I improve every time I go. And that is how I've built this skill. I've improved my watch time, I've improved my click-through rate, have more subscribers. So clearly I am applying this process consistently enough to see the skill built. Like, there are so many ways to decide to learn how to build your skill artistically, creatively, professionally, and you will slowly see yourself perform more, write more, do more as you apply these steps consistently, leaning into this confusion, because this is the first step, but it's also a recurring step. Like, so when it comes to building up your knowledge gap from where you are, 5 years from now you might have another new destination. So there's always going to be that need to look up what you don't know and learn it. So for me, I'm about to go back to work, and so that looks like in my literal research process, I'm getting my PhD, like I said, in systems modeling and analysis, and my project is on sickle cell pain. I'm currently making an inflammation model, a mechanistic ODE model of inflammation in sickle cell, so understanding the biology and translating that into mathematics, and then coding that mathematics, and then making sure it's accurate, and then analyzing the results. That's my project. And I'm at the step of figuring out how to understand the biology. So there's a lot of confusion for me about, is this true? Why is this true? How is this true? Like, I don't know these things. Like, I'm not a biologist. So like, there's a lot of confusion for me about that. There's confusion for me about what exactly do these other people's equations mean. Like, I'm looking up other examples of models of information so that I can have mine be right, and I see they use different kinds of denominators and they use different kinds of rates, and that's confusing to me. And I'm like, why are you using those rates, and why did you set it up with that kind of law instead of a different one, And so those are the things I don't know. And so in order to lean into that confusion, I have to reread literature. I literally wrote a literature review, so I need to reread that paper and look at the specific blood cell and inflammation models and figure out, how does this work? There are people who have already researched the things I'm wondering. Let's see what they found before I reinvent the wheel, right? That also means I have to reread some math literature. Like, I'm looking at these examples of models, but I need more specifics. So I pulled out my, let me show you. I pulled out my notes from my grad school courses, and I also digitized them because I've always been organized, and so I have them in my Notability, where I have all of my previous course notes. So I'm literally going back to the beginning to understand everything about building a mathematical model, understanding the biology, and then once I finish that, that's ongoing. I'm still reading, I'm still writing, but as I continually learn more about the biology and learn more about why certain things work, I can reformulate my equations, I can reformulate my question, and make sure that my analysis answers those questions. So those are the steps I have to take, and those are my kind of to-dos for this week. And that's how it works for me as a mathematician, as a dissertation student. I am leaning into the confusion of all that I don't know and all that the world doesn't know. I'm literally answering a question that hasn't been answered before. So I'm leaning into the confusion of what the heck is going on, and I am trying to fill that knowledge gap for myself and for other people, and then I'm going to share what I know. But anyway, we're getting ahead of ourselves. There will be a video on every single step of this process. So right now, today, we're just on step 1 of learning, researching, being confused. Speaking of being confused, let me go back to my meeting. This took me 30 minutes to record, so love that for me. But I'm gonna go back to the big room with everyone else and finish working for today, because it's easier to learn things when you're not by yourself. Like, teaching yourself skills doesn't always have to mean like alone. Like finding community, people that already know what you are looking to know, is fantastic. If you're looking for accountability, feel free to join our We're Productive People Club. Link in the bio. We meet weekly to reset and stay on track as productive people. But otherwise, also in building your skills. You want to become an artist, hang out with artists, good people that are artists. Or you want to become a painter, hang out at the painting places. You want to be, you know, whatever, go there. Do that with those people that align with you in that niche. Like, you don't have to be with everybody. Just the people that actually have value to add to your education and knowledge. So, yeah. Food was banging, but I don't want to throw it away yet. I know I'm probably not going to eat it, but I don't want to throw it away. I don't want to throw it away. So, let's go back to work.
Saying to someone that means the world to you. You see what I mean? Okay, you love me, but I love you, and I think you understand.
Can I move? Let me move. Can we
let me just pause the music before I don't pause it. I came home from work and immediately changed into my workout clothes from earlier. Can you see me? Because if I don't, I won't remember that I still have to go on my walk. I got my workout in earlier, but I did not have time to walk before my work day. So back in my clothes, so I know that it's not time to chill and it's not time to work. It's time to work out. But I wanted to finish up some stuff and update my journal for the day. And share with you like what I've learned. Like, it's been a really productive day. I had a great conversation with my advisor about my research progress. So let me just pull up my notes. Let me pull up my notes. Okay, let's go over some updates. So in the last video, in the first edition of PhD Diaries, I introduced my dissertation in detail. I described the 3 chapters I've been working on and what mathematical biology is to me. I also talked about the proposal defense process, like where I am. I'm at the stage of putting together my thesis, writing it, finishing up my projects, and therefore I should be proposing within the next month and graduating within the semester. By the end of this semester is the plan. And everyone seems to be on board with that. Like, every conversation I have with everyone, with my advisor, people in my committee, people in my department, it's all like, haha, you getting ready for that alumni? Oh, ha ha ha, are you ready to, oh, where you're applying? Like, everybody is putting in their brain that I'm leaving. So it's also been put in my brain that I'm leaving. So I'm like, wow, I feel like Dr. Jones already. Like I'm just like proving it, you know, and showing how I know that I am her, you know. Went over that process in the last video. And then also in that video, I had just started the current project I'm working on, an ODE mechanistic model for the mechanisms in inflammation, pain, and sickle cell. So I am currently formulating that together, and I talked about the confusion I was feeling with that earlier. So I have since my last video helped with all the confusion that was brought up with starting the project. Since the last video, the things I've done to help me feel better about my knowledge gap, like you know, shorten it, bring it a little higher. I've made my model schematic, the photo of what the cells are and what their relationships are, and I'm still updating it as I continually read and cite my biological information. Then I cite it and I update my model accordingly to make sure it matches, right? So that's me getting proof from like scientists and my peers about what I'm working on. And then I have made the preliminary equations from that schematic. So the picture serves to tell me what the equations are. A lot of math and models go together, so that's like what I do. And so I made those equations from that picture, and from those equations I then coded them up into MATLAB. So I do want to learn Python throughout this semester, so we'll be talking about that in a different video. But I currently use MATLAB and RStudio mostly for my work. So a lot of data processing happens in RStudio, and a lot of simulations and trial and error happens in MATLAB. So I coded up what I have for my model based on the schematic, based on my readings. And I have met with my advisor several times since then. It's been like 5-6 weeks, I guess, or 4 or 5, I don't know, time isn't real, but it's been some time, and I've met with my advisor several times, and we've updated it, we've talked about it, and we've made such good progress. And now I'm just at a part of trying to finalize my questions. Once I have just a clear picture of what I can answer with what I know, because that's another thing I brought up earlier, is we have like an initial question, but then we have to gather data about what's already been found, and then we have to figure out what we can do based on the data available, the knowledge available, and the assumptions we can make. And based on that, we then update our questions so that our questions are answerable. Don't want to write a paper on something you can't answer. So I've been trying to, based on like, okay, now that I actually know how this works, what can I do? Like, how can I make math useful to answering these questions? And so I have updated my questions. So that's also improved my knowledge in this area. Code is fully working, it's plotting, and my only major concern now is making sure that the dynamics are correct, in the sense of, are the populations being represented correctly? Am I actually, is the biology sound? Like, does this activate this? Is that true? And once we get like the general populations under control, like they're moving the way they're supposed to, rising and falling, how the data generally shows, or how the biologists generally say, then we know that the model is doing its right thing, and then we can move forward with analysis. So I've made some knowledgeable assumptions to be able to do that, and it's looking pretty good, but I'm still like, it's still not clear. Like, I still don't feel like I could say to someone 100% that my model is right. So I am doing a few things. So let's go over that. Let me actually screen record on my computer the things I'm doing to clear up the remaining confusion, because now that I have finished, you know, my main 2 chapters, I am writing my introduction and writing a current chapter, and then I can submit my proposal. So I'm very close. So let's go over that 1 second. So based on what I've done, these are my next steps and what I've done to get those things done and improve my knowledge gap and become more knowledgeable in this area and complete my dissertation, build this new skill. So first, I have to write out all that I've done so far. Like, I have to gather my research notes in one place, and get just a big picture of what's going on. You know, I have all of these different, you know, brain maps and random scribbles, but that comes together to make a big picture, and I have to figure out what that is. And so what I did to do that was create my own schematic based off all of the reading I've done. I drew my own cells, and I drew, like, from all of the diagrams I've seen, like what the relevant processes are, you know, in my project. And I have this biology schematic where it just explains the full process that I'm trying to model. Every single like sentence translates to an equation, and I will then be able to understand that, like, what's happening more concretely because of this understanding. So yeah, like compiling all of my research things in one place has been super helpful. I of course have like also made the presentation, so like the inflammation model and like what is sickle cell. So I've been like, I tend to, when it comes to my PhD work, I really like putting together my slides as my form of notes, you know, because that's essentially what they are. It's just I need some kind of like pretty way to say what I've done and to be able to quickly show that to my advisor and my committee. And instead of like trying to like type it all out in like words, which I do have to do, but like I need to be able to like quickly share. And so if I just go ahead and put everything just kind of hodgepodge in this, you know, PowerPoint, I can edit it later to be presentable, like, you know, cut down slides, blah, blah, blah. But what I generally do when I did this for my last project as well was just everything I have in my notes or in my manuscript, I turn it into a slide, and then I go through with my advisor and be like, yeah, this one's relevant, let's move this to this one, that's relevant. And it's just like, it's still just notes, but now it's presentable notes. So I'm glad I've done that. And now I also have to see how much more I filled my knowledge gap by answering specific questions. So I have much more specific questions for my model, and also much more specific questions about what I want to write in my dissertation. So I'm actually at a place where I can storyboard it. So let me see, I'm not sure like if I can share my exact questions at this time, but essentially what I'm trying to do is take advantage of the fact that much is known about the components of sickle cell vascular occlusion, yet there's little knowledge about the mechanistic pathways, like which ones are significant, which ones are treatable. We don't have much to play around with that without hurting people, and we need to be able to do that if we're going to make effective treatments. So that's what this model is for. Dynamic math modeling allows us to model and simulate this process and gain insight about ways to treat pain and VOC with minimal cost and injury to patients. That's a good selling point. Okay. And so the goal of the model is to be able to predict VOC severity over time, like how occludes, you know, how much of a mess is made based on these inflammatory pathways. And if we can figure that out, can we then figure out how to reduce that issue being caused? So just a much clearer picture of like what I'm trying to do. Like I had an original idea, but now that I know what's happening, I'm like, oh, this is how it's useful, you know? And I've also made a Notion page. Y'all, I feel like I've talked about her in also like 2 videos ago. Jenna Hong, I've been loving her channel. I found her through her Work to Live diaries because vibes. And she has a Notion template that's free. She had a 2023 one that I downloaded just a month ago, but now she's also released another one for 2024, and they're both gorgeous. They're both gorgeous. She's amazing. But I downloaded her template, and that helped me like curb the Notion learning curve, because this is my first time using it since December, or December is when I started using it for the first time ever in my life, and I'm obsessed with it. So I had a Notion page for my PhD where I put together just like literally all of my next steps so that I can answer these questions that I have. So I put together my introduction now that I've been able to storyboard my ideas and connect my project. So like I started off with the lit review, and I did the ODE model, and then I did this. And now that I have them all together, I kind of understand that, okay, I'm really talking about pain. So that's how I got my title, that this is about dynamic mathematical approaches to pain and sickle cell. Great title. And then I'm like, okay, so if that's the title, what's the introduction? The introduction has to be relevant to that and the work. Well, then I have to talk about pathology. I have to talk about sickle cell and how it's understudied. I have to talk about anti-Blackness and the lack of research into illnesses that affect us. I have to talk about how there is specific pain of history in America of being mistreated, Black people being mistreated, and how that impacts current day and like how the genetics played into that. And then also just a critical framework of why I am doing this work. I am, you know, I believe in, I'm also a Virgo, so I believe if you want to do something, you gotta do it yourself. And if we, Black people, Black women, do not have the knowledge to answer the questions we have, we'll never get the answers, because no one cares about us like us. So my personal mission is to find answers for my community while also encouraging fellow Black women in STEM fellow Black and fellow Black women in STEAM, science, technology, engineering, art, and mathematics. I think all are incredibly important for being a well-rounded researcher, and I want to promote that through my lifestyle and what I do and my work. And so in order to do my part for my people, I'm studying pain. These are the ways I've studied pain. Here's what I've learned from studying about pain in this disease. I hope in the future to apply these kinds of models to other diseases. Dissertation. I just gave it to you. You know what I'm saying? So I have together like everything I need to do. My introductions together. I've checklisted my first chapter and second chapter. My third chapter I'm doing right now. I have a to-do update for each section. So I'm very organized about what needs to be done. And I have showed this to my advisor. Just like every couple of meetings, I'll be like, so we've done. I can count that as okay, and that's okay. You know. And when I am organized, it makes her organized. Is when I am disorganized, it makes everyone else disorganized. So me staying on top of what I'm doing in my project is incredibly important considering it's my project. So yeah, that's how you should approach any skill. Like, you want to be on top of it. You don't want to rely on others to guide your work. If you are building a new skill, teaching yourself, you need to be able to stay accountable for what you were doing it in a timely manner, and committing to doing it. And so also committing to doing it. So I've written a list of what I need to do. I have all these things like I need to read and verify and blah, blah. So I have, I use Notability for my bullet journal. So this is my current spread in my bullet journal. And I have my Better Choices planner that I use, free download in the description. But I also use Notability for full-on note-taking. So I do have my research notebook that I showed in my last PhD Diaries, or like all of my notes that I take for my PhD. And then I also have my Dr. Jones reading list. I love Notability for its ability to like go through folders and stuff. I have the pro. I have a pro subscription for all the things I use except for Notion, and I pay the annual fee one time, never think about it again. So I have the Dr. Jones reading list where I have biology articles that I have found relevant to what I need to know. I have starred the most relevant ones to read first, and then I annotate them in here. I have my math modeling papers, like papers of how to model, like more specifically like modeling as a skill, like not necessarily examples of models, but how to model. So that's what these papers are, because I have to make sure that I'm following like a correct system of steps in line with my field. And then I have all the papers that are relevant examples of what I'm trying to do. So I'm creating an inflammation model in sickle cell, but there are other inflammation models in lupus and, or not in lupus, sorry, in diabetes and cancer and heart disease. So I can kind of look at what they have done and how, dynamics were important to them and that kind of thing through their papers, and also use some of the rates they have established as reference since I am starting from zero. So like finding references, I start them again, like in every category, it has been starred what's most important. And then any other people's like dissertations or any of my products go in here. And then I also have my previous course notes, every like relevant class that I've taken in grad school, math, bio, analysis, dynamical systems, like all of them are in here so that I can easily refer to those notes as well while I'm studying. So by having this list, I have all quickly at my disposal things I need to read. I spent December, my Christmas break, downloading all of my files, organizing them in Notability, writing out what I need to read, finding these papers, starting them. Like that process takes time in itself, and that's what I've been doing since the last video, just getting everything together that I know I need to study so that I can schedule it into my days throughout 2024 and get it done systematically. And so the way I am planning to complete this project and my dissertation is leaning into this confusion and dedicating time to decrease my knowledge gap. So for me, that looks like when I meet with my Reproductive People Club every Sunday, writing out my to-do list for the week, seeing which papers I should read, like seeing what I said I would tell my advisor about at the end of every week. I have a to-do list that I check with her. I'm like, so this is what I'm going to be working on. Anything else you think I should work on? Okay, these are the things I think I can accomplish by our next meeting, but I will let you know, in the meeting. And so because of that, I have that list, and on every Sunday when we meet, I go through that list. I add in what days I can work on what, and then I add in under there like what I'm working on, what papers I need to read in accordance with that. And then when it's time to do it, You know, I have a timer that goes off on my phone. I have this timer on my desk and I get to it. So I've been scheduling my plan for this semester. It's just started this week. Like I said, it probably won't go like this, but ideally 2 hours of reading, 2 hours of coding in MATLAB, and 2 hours of writing and analysis. That's my ideal like weekday work schedule, 6 hours a day doing that and making progress in all areas. So that's what I have planned out and fit into my schedule going forward. I will be grading this semester, so I'll be on campus a lot more often and going to the big gym. So there will be a lot of me like working with other people, co-working on Zoom with you, and just a lot of learning. Like that's what this process is. The research process is learning, validating, sharing, learning, validating, sharing. So yeah, this is the first step. Figure out what you don't know and make a path to know it. And that's going to be the end of this episode of PhD Diaries. I'm about to go on my walk, likely go on the treadmill, because even though I don't mind walking at night, it's too cold for that. When it's dark and it's cold, you might as well be torturing yourself. So I'm gonna go walking on the treadmill once I'm done. But I hope this was helpful. I hope you have grasped how to take that first step in learning a new skill, teaching yourself how to become who you want to be. You can really conquer anything you want to know if you set the time and intention to prioritize that thing and let the confusion take you by the hand and lead you to where you've never been. You won't know anything new if you don't go where you haven't been, and so let that confusion guide you to where you are trying to go. It's the very first step, leaning into that confusion. Learning and building a new skill is not about letting the process overwhelm you and getting so excited with the big idea that it paralyzes you, but instead letting that fear and confusion actually open you up to more, to discover what's inside of it. So let me know in the comments how you're planning on actually applying this to your life. What is your destination or your goal? How are you planning on researching that? What do you need to research? What skills do you already have that you can build upon? And what skills do you need to build to meet your prerequisites for this goal? And what is your path forward? How are you implementing this? Are you practicing it? Are you timing it? Are you joining a community? Like, what is the plan forward? And then meet with me in the next video where we talk about how to actually make knowledgeable assumptions and make better paths forward. Let me know in the comments, and I will see you in my very next video. Bye, friend. Yes, sir. Time to go work out. That's my nightly exercise calling. I have to go answer. Dr. Jones is also a baddie.